Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel for a video that I promised all the Michael Myers fans. This is a look at the complete Michael Myers figure collection. Individually, going to get them out, put them on the desk, pose them up, tell you all about each one, what it's made up of, who made what, and if it's a stock figure, then I'll just describe, how I feel about it. But to be honest, most of my stock figures have had something done to them, like the big Rob Zombie NECA figure in the background there. Totally redid it and did the hair, the mask, repainted that and weathered up the coveralls, even though it is sculpted. But that looks really nice. And there are some figures that I haven't done anything to, like the Mezco Myers here. And well, I've done a fair bit of work to the other ones as well, but we'll get to that. Just want to go through everything, give you a nice big rundown on what everything is, and just share my thoughts on them. Should be nice and entertaining for the Michael Myers fans out there. I'm just using this nice and grainy, nasty filter I'm filming with now just for this intro, so I thought it looked very nice, particularly with this section of figures over here. They just look really grimy and nasty. So yeah, not going to be ranking them really, or coming up with an ultimate favorite figure out of all of them, although I do have some ideas about that, but I really have some trouble choosing between at least 4 or 5 of these for the top spot. It is very tricky. Kind of just depends what mood I'm in. I'm really loving my 2018 Myers at the moment. There's just not many of them around, and this head sculpt by Legio 7 Workshop, as you can see, is absolutely incredible. But yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, guys. As promised, for the Myers fans out there, this will be a long one, so get yourselves a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever it is you want to partake in while you watch this. I'm not here to judge. You do what you gotta do. Alright, strap yourselves in. This is the NECA official Michael Myers figure from the 2007 Rob Zombie Halloween remake. And this head sculpt that you're looking at is the mask he's wearing when he escapes from the mental asylum. He's heading back to Haddonfield to get his fateful Captain Kirk mask and the kitchen knife. I bought this figure because I have the big guy, the big version of this, which you've probably seen already in the video by now, but I wanted to display a version of Michael Myers with this mask when he escapes from the mental hospital. I always think it reminds me of Adam Jones from Tool. I don't know why. Came with 2 head sculpts, this one that you're looking at right now, plus the regular Michael Myers mask as well. Pretty good sculpt on that, very accurate looking, not too bad at all. And a lovely grass kind of autumn base, you can see some leaves in there as well, and the work on the tombstone is very impressive. Really impressed with the sculpt on the whole figure, just everything about it really, considering this came out I think in 2007 when the movie came out, maybe the year after, but basically around the same time as the film's release, which is a while ago now. So this really holds up after that amount of time. Had to get this secondhand again. Quite a few secondhand Myers figures in the collection, just because once they're gone, they're gone. But as he comes around here, you can see it's got the accurate patches in the right place on the coveralls that he steals from Joe Grizzly. Damn shame, shouldn't have killed him. He was a funny character. He's only in it for a couple of seconds, but I really like Joe Grizzly. They give you the knife that he takes from him as well. That's an accessory. But just look at that cool, creepy pumpkin mask. I really wanted to display a version of Michael looking up like this, so this is the figure that represents that look for me. He's small, but he's, well, I say he's small, he's one of the bigger small NECA figures. Like, he's a 7-inch line, but he clocks in taller than most of my NECA figures in the collection, so very happy with him. Alright, moving on. Now here is a 7-inch version of the figure that NECA made, both in 7-inch and in quarter scale as well. This is the 1978 original Michael Myers by NECA. An official figure that's long been, well, sold out. It's quite expensive. I had to get mine on eBay, even though it's secondhand. I still had to pay almost £40 for it. But it's a piece of Michael Myers history. You got to own it really if you're a collector. Redid the hair from scratch. I heated up the head with a hairdryer and used a scalpel to cut away the hair and I redid it myself using Super Sculpted clay and painted it brown, and it turned out great. I do prefer the way this looks compared to what I did with the quarter scale version, but I'm happy with both. Great sculpt, great color for the coveralls as well. You can see they're not quite navy blue under this light, but usually when you look at them they do just come across as navy blue, but when you really pay attention there's a little bit of greeny grey happening in there as well. They certainly look more of a grey colour right now on camera. That is interesting, the way the light changes things. But a great sculpt, and yeah, pretty much started with this guy, but obviously the McFarlane Michael Myers figure was the first one, and I don't own that one, so I might have to get that at some point. It's not too bad price wise. They also made that in 1/4 scale, so I could always get that. But look at that, that's a great sculpt on the mask, and with the hair that I've done myself, I'm very happy overall with how he looks. Alright, so there he is, 7-inch 1978 Michael Myers figure by NECA. Okay, here we have a figure that I very recently reviewed on the channel. It was actually quite a fun review to make because I was using one of Glenn Page's dioramas, the front of the Myers house, with this figure. So he was really coming to life standing in front of his own house and all the photography. Go check it out. It's like 40-minute long review. I really went for it just because I was having so much fun, and it just ended up being quite a long review. So definitely check it out. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm sure you'll have a fun time watching it if you are a fan. So here he is. He's 6.5 inches tall. Mezco Toys, my first Mezco figure. I won't really go into too much here because I've already, like I said, done a 40-minute long review just recently. So go ahead and check that out if you want to know more. But he comes with great accessories. It comes with the tombstone, which you're seeing come around now. That feels like a real shrunk down tombstone. I don't know what it's made from, but it's heavy and great detail, great paintwork on that. The coveralls are really, really good. A nice kind of navy color. The lighting's affecting the way that's slightly looking. It's giving it a bit of a weird purple vibe at the moment, but trust me, in person, very much a kind of charcoaly blue color. Very nice. Looks just like how he looks in the film at night. Great hands that he comes with, detailed with nice mud and that around the fingernails. Very surprised about that detail. Very cool. 2 knives, one clean, one bloody. The base is gorgeous. The pumpkin, you can see, has a light up feature. It looks like a flickering candle inside the pumpkin. Very accurate looking to the, the one from the film. Jungle boots are present and correct. Great posability in those. Great posability all round with this guy. He doesn't have a double bend elbow, just a single bend. So you can't really get him doing very dynamic kind of stabbing poses, but you can get him doing pretty much what you need him to do. I've got no complaints with this one. I will show you the Bob look because it does come with the sheet, with the ghost sheet with the glasses to do the Bob look. So we'll see that next. But yeah, check out the review if you haven't seen it on the channel already. Great piece. My first Mezco figure. I do intend to get the Freddy one that they're bringing out as well. Not sure if I'm going to be... I don't think I'll be getting Jason or Ash from Evil Dead. I love Evil Dead 2. I'm just not mad keen on the likeness to Ash himself on that figure that I've seen so far. I've only watched one review on the Evil Dead figure, but I just remember thinking, yeah, maybe not. Although the more kind of Deadite looking head sculpt you get of Ash, that looked great, but I noticed a major clash of skin tones between that kind of Deadite head sculpt for Ash and his body. Very different kind of skin tone from what I could see in the review that I did watch. Anyway, a very, very fine piece indeed. A lot of people put off by the size. I would say ignore that. Get him anyway while you can. He's going to go up in price. You won't be able to get this guy easily in the years to come. And I was put off by the size. That was my reason for the big delay getting this guy. But trust me, now I've got him. I'm telling you, get him. Okay, now here is the Bob look that you can achieve with the Mezco Toys figure. And a nice little trick you can do is use his arms to get the material under his arms and then push the arms down. You get that nice flat kind of like the material is falling, like it has weight to it. You don't want what I've seen in some videos where it's just puffing out to the side. There's an easy fix. Just use the arms. That's what they're there for, to fix things like this. You can see the coveralls, the legs sticking out there, so you can still tell it's Michael hiding underneath the sheet. No little Budweiser cans with this guy, or cans that just made to resemble Budweiser's design, which would have been nice, but legal reasons, copyright, all that stuff. The glasses are very well done. They look just like Bob's glasses. There's eye holes with eyes inside there that you can make out, very subtle, but they're there. And just a very creepy, spooky vibe with this guy. Let me turn off the light, showing this from above, and you can see that looks absolutely awesome. So like I said, don't hesitate. He may be small, but he packs one hell of a punch. Okay, so here we have my first real venture into the custom Michael Myers 1/6 scale figure world. Found this figure on eBay. If I remember correctly, it was from a chap in Australia, and it was actually quite a reasonable price. I think it was. You know what? I'm terrible with remembering what I paid for things. I've bought a lot of things over the years. I got a feeling this was around the 200 margin, maybe 230, including the shipping. Look at it; it's incredible. The mask is amazing. This is one of One's Custom's older Michael Myers figure. Now, this is from Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie. The nightmare sequence at the beginning of the movie in the hospital in the rain. The hair on this one is kind of styled, and I did this as well. Kind of putting in gel and different kind of. I think I used hairspray as well, just to get it to look kind of wet and hanging around the mask. But the coveralls on this were made by One, and very, very, very good. Even though quite an old piece now, at least 10 years old now. Fantastic figure, and something I'm very, very glad to have. The actual neck section of the mask is kind of like a squishy latex material, so you can actually manipulate that and move it with your fingers like a real mask. But as you can see, just intimidating as hell. We'll get a close-up look at the face in a moment, but just see it as it comes around. Found that axe on eBay. I had to paint the red section on the axe part itself, and I had to paint the handle as well. I haven't really done the best job on the handle. Need to put more of a wood grain look on that. That's just a bit of time and effort, really. Need to put in the time on that. That pumpkin that you're seeing, I've repainted that recently, but that came with this figure as well. And he came with a nice base with One's Custom signature underneath as well. So quite an old 1/6 scale custom figure, but very imposing, very creepy looking, and still one of the most intimidating Michael Myers figures in my collection. No doubt about it. We'll just let him come around one more time, and then we'll get a close-up look at this mask. Absolutely phenomenal work. You kind of notice that Alice Cooper lines that he has on the eyes. Very creepy. Alright, let's get a close-up. Okay, so we'll get a close-up look now at the mask, and you can see it in its glory. You'll also notice the dried-in, wet look to the coveralls, like he's just been walking in the rain. That's a combination of customizing from One's Customs. It still looks great after all these years. It still looks wet. I don't think I actually went in and did anything to the coveralls on this guy yet. Usually I do go in and kind of add a little bit more weathering and dirt and grime to these guys myself. I don't think it was necessary with this one. Now, as you can see, the hair on this guy, not the best when it comes around the back here. There's a fair bit of the hair. It maybe just needs a haircut, but from the front and the side profile, it's very, very cool looking. Very creepy, very intimidating. Just let him come around one more time. We'll get a look at the mask itself, the eyes, the ribs, the rotting, all those different aspects. And here he comes. Just an amazing looking piece. Like a decade old figure now. You won't see many of these around anymore. I got lucky and found mine on eBay. Just a random find, but look at that. One's Customs, very old, one of the originals. Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie, nightmare sequence at the hospital. Alright, moving on. Here we have the ultimate Myers, as it was actually Darth Magnus who laid the foundation for this specific combination of pieces to put together this version of Michael Myers from the original movie. You have the Mad Bug sculpt, haired and painted by Nathan Silent Surfer, the Bruce Banner Hot Toys body with those nice double bend elbows, the Yuncel coveralls, which will set you back $300, which is ridiculous, I gotta be honest, but they are incredible coveralls. I actually dyed mine navy blue. You wouldn't know it from looking at them right here because the dye just seemed to fade away after a while. They've kind of gone back to normal again, but with a hint of blue. Mine, when I received mine, were very light grey. And I understand that, some people say that the coveralls in the film were a dark charcoal grey. I even see that myself sometimes, but my coveralls here were a very light grey. Just didn't work for me. So I had to dye them slightly, but they've turned out all right. Now, also you need the jungle boots, the Platoon Hot Toys jungle boots, although you can get other versions of the jungle boots on eBay or other, figure selling stores, third-party ones, stuff like that. Now, the hands, I'm not too sure whose hands I'm using on this, but I've just gathered together bits and pieces in order to, complete the figure. Do need to get myself some jungle boots. He's not wearing the right boots at the moment. These are actually Hot Toys Bane boots that I've sprayed black, just a temporary measure, chill out, don't worry about it. 3 of my 78 Myers figures do have the accurate boots. This guy needs the pair to finish him. Just need to find a good deal on eBay to get those. So like I said, Darth Magnus on YouTube made that famous video now where his Ultimate Myers figure, with all the same parts you see before you right now, but with different hands, and he had the accurate boots on at the time. I don't. Now, like I said, he laid the foundation for everyone. Let us all know the kind of parts we need to achieve something like this. And many of you will agree this is one of the best looking 1/6 scale Michael Myers figures you can get. When you combine it, the Mad Bug sculpt, get the Silent Surfer paint job and the hair on there, get the unsold coveralls, the accurate t-shirt, which comes with the coveralls anyway, get that Fergo knife. Watched a video recently where someone said that they were, I don't know, it seemed like they were sick of hearing about Fergo's work, and they said a knife is a knife. That's kind of, they don't see what the big deal is. I'll just kill that right now. Nobody does knives like Fergo. If you want the best, he's the one you get them from. And that's that. But despite these coveralls being $300, which is, like I said, kind of insane, I had to pay mine off in installments. I believe I paid a £100 deposit, and then over the course of about 3 or 4 months, I just paid off bits and pieces until it was done and they were ready to be shipped. Again, massive thanks to Darth Magnus and Michael Cortez for hooking that all up. Without those guys, I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I didn't know who to contact. I didn't know how you go about getting something like this. But Michael Cortez on Facebook and Darth Magnus, people like that. You've got Stiff Richards on the One's Custom side of things, or go directly to One himself. You've got Tanila at Tanila's Customs, who does incredible work with coveralls. And obviously David Tucker at C Creations. Many people out there who do this kind of stuff. But yes, I'm glad I have these coveralls. I am very happy with them. They do fit incredibly well. I mean, I've got no complaints other than the fact that mine were very light grey, and I had to do a little color adjustment there. But you can even see the hole in the elbow from accuracy. I mean, it's just insane. Now we'll get a close-up look at the Mad Bug sculpt and the paint job and the hairing by Nathan Silent Surfer. As he comes around, we'll see that Nick Castle stretch kind of represented in the more narrow mouth. And that's because Nick Castle's chin was digging into the chin of the mask and just stretching the mask slightly, creating this more kind of creepy narrow mouth look. But an amazing paint job, pretty decent job with the hairing, a great sculpt by Mad Bug. Definitely one of the essential pieces if you're a hardcore Myers collector, but very hard to get hold of, at least it was in my experience. Let me just move the light around the actual sculpt itself. You can just see how the shadows fall, and the effect that it might have on the mask. And the eyes inside, there they are, very deeply embedded into the sculpt, so they do look completely blacked out most of the time, but the eyes are in there. And there it is, the Mad Bug retooled Nick Castle stretch sculpt, haired and painted by Nathan Silent Surfer. Okay, here we have a very special 1/6 scale custom Michael Myers figure. Special because he's wearing the Dean Knight exclusive coveralls, which were made for me by the awesome Tanila at Tanila's Customs. Herself and her husband Dave. Dave made the knife, and Tanila, with the material that I tracked down and then sent to her, she was kind enough to make me my own coveralls. I wanted something unique, something very movie accurate, and I believe we achieved that together. And I'm very, very, very pleased to have these. I stumbled upon the material. As soon as I saw it, I thought that's the right color. Then I went over and felt it, and I thought that's how it should feel. And a light bulb went off in my head, and I knew Tanila was super cool. And I sent her a message saying, I've got an idea. If I obviously pay you, would you be up for making me some coveralls with some material that I found? And she was more than happy to do it. So what you're looking at here is the Dean Knight exclusive with a Blackest Eyes version 2 head sculpt by One's Customs, which is one of my absolute favorites. I have always called it the Great White because it reminds me of a great white shark, just the shape of it, the blackness of the eyes, the evilness. Absolutely amazing. I'm so happy with the way the coveralls turned out. Tanila did an amazing job, and they are a bit of a chameleon set of coveralls. They will sort of change color depending on where you've got them. Sometimes charcoal grey, and as you saw in the first video I uploaded when I first got these, I had the figure in my hands and I sort of turned my chair around towards the window and suddenly they were blue. It was amazing. And accurate boots, a nice base from the original Sideshow Collectibles Myers figure, and a pumpkin that Michael Cortez hooked up for me. It was pretty expensive, but it is a movie accurate pumpkin. I don't want to say for sure, but I think it might be the beta one, or someone else. I can't remember exactly, but very happy with this figure. Great posability. The body I've used is just a spare, I think it's like maybe a Hot Toys body, just a narrow shoulder. It's not the right body to really use for him, but again, it's just a matter of me needing to get some cash together eventually and just finish off these guys. I mean, they look good. You guys would look at them and think, yeah, that looks fine, but there's still some things that need fixing. They need the right bodies. Some of them need the right boots, and you know, it's just an ever ongoing battle. Okay, we'll get a close-up look at the head sculpt as it comes around now. You can see the suit with coveralls a little bit closer as well. You get a look at that texture. See that kind of Big Mac? If you've got a big pair of Big Mac coveralls, you'll notice it's the exact same kind of texture and toughness to it. These are basically shrunk down Big Macs for a 1/6 scale figure. Yeah, the hands have been weathered with some mud and some blood. Very subtle on this one. Didn't want to go overboard on the 78 Myers. That's more for the 2018 version and certainly the Rob Zombie version. But as you can see, coveralls really nicely fitting. You don't want them too tight, you don't want them too baggy. They're meant to be loose fitting coveralls. You know, a mechanic's supposed to be able to move in these things, wearing them all day long while they work their asses off on cars and whatnot. But yeah, the great white sculpt, that's what I call it. It reminds me of a hunter, a great white shark just coming at you. It's very intimidating. I love this sculpt because it's just a bit more subtle than some of the other ones. Everything is present and correct. The cheekbones, the mouth, the lines, the eye holes, everything is the right kind of shape. I love the line on the sideburn bit there. It's great side profile on this sculpt, and it will always be one of my absolute favorites. So just to be clear, this head sculpt is the Blackest Eyes version 2 by One's Customs, and kind of a legendary sculpt now. A lot of people are after it. There is a version 3, but some people, it's kind of 50-50. Some people prefer the version 3, but then I do see a lot of people commenting, and on my stuff as well, saying that they prefer this one. I understand why, because newer doesn't always necessarily mean better, although in the case of One's Customs, the new 78 definitely does seem to be the best one to date, especially when it comes to the hair, like I said before, but this one will always be one of my favorites. There he is, the Dean Knight exclusive. Thank you, Tanila, and thank you, Dave, and thank you, One. It's with great pride that I'm able to show you and bring to you now a figure that I am so happy to have, because I'm well and truly in the mood for some Halloween 2018 figure action. This is my custom 1/6 scale 2018 version of Michael Myers. Not complete yet, I need more accurate coveralls from David Tucker, but check out that sculpt and the hair and just the sculpt on it, the paintwork, the hands, the knife, the boots. This guy is looking really sweet. He's even got the bullet hole through his shoulder there when Laurie shoots him after he's killed the babysitter. And I just love this figure at the moment. I'm so happy to have it. And the head sculpt is by Legio 7 Workshop. That's on Facebook. That's Legio 7 Workshop. You should be able to track them down. Very nice guy. This is the second sculpt, well, the second version of this sculpt that he ever made. He may very well make more, but from what I can see on his Facebook page, he's pretty busy doing all kinds of stuff at the moment. So I don't know how many of these are ever going to get made. Probably not many. I'd say at maximum maybe 10, and that's like months down the line he'll get to that. But just look at the eyes. He's got the dead eye on the left hand side of his face, you know, it's all accurate. And yeah, I love the way the hands look. Got some blood effect on the knife that I did the other day. Weathered the hell out of these 3-0 coveralls. Again, not accurate, but pretty damn accurate-ish. Well, they'll do for now. Obviously, the pocket flaps are not accurate, the collar's not accurate, but the colour and the fit, very nice. So once I get some money together, I'm going to go to David Tucker at C Creations and see if he can whip me up a sweet pair of movie-accurate 2018 coveralls. Let's get a close-up look at the details. Alright, let's get a close-up look, and as you can see, even though they are not the accurate coveralls, they look fantastic on this guy. Love the colour, really done a lot of work. I basically painted over all the white stitching with a black wash, just to tone it down a little bit and make it a bit more subtle. A knife there by David from Tanila's Customs, and the hands are 3-0 hands, but I've added a lot more wet blood effect to those to make them even more gory. I sewed the sleeves together on the 3-0 coveralls because they're open sleeves and they were just hanging down and looking kind of baggy and silly. So I fixed those and I padded him out a little bit because he is 60 or 61 years old in the movie. Got a little bit of a belly on him, not much. But let's move up and say hello to the incredible head sculpt. And here is the sculpt, and the dead eye is creepy as hell. Incredible detail on this. I love the hair, even though it does take a little bit of getting used to. It's not accurate hair, though, I will say that. If you check out what One's Customs has on the way when it comes to the 2018 version of Myers, he's managed to master the hair already. Very hard to describe how the hair looks on the new mask, but I know what it looks like in my head. It's kind of just nasty. It looks like it's covered in chip fat or something. It's just oily, curly. Not curly, but it's gross. But this sculpt by Legio 7, he really outdone himself, and this is again the second one he's ever made, and just the details are amazing. Let me just turn down this light a little bit. There we go. Look at that. The shape. Absolutely insane. So, just wanted to do a little comparison. Don't really have many sort of reference pictures to use here, but as you can see, they did a fantastic job over at Legio 7 Workshop. Absolutely love this sculpt. So I'll just let you soak up the details, breathe it in. This over the course of the next few months and maybe a couple of years, I'm sure this won't be the only 2018 version 1/6 scale sculpt that I have. Maybe even a 1/4 scale at some point down the line. I will certainly be up for that. I'm sure One's Customs has plenty of things up his sleeve in that regard. But this will certainly tide me over till then. I do love this head sculpt. Let's just get him looking up a little bit. And then looking down. Choosing to do it more with the torso than with the head itself. Let me just shine the light from above. Alright, moving on. Now here we have a figure that was put together for me by David Tucker at Sea Creations. This was my first experience with Mr. Tucker, and a very pleasant one it was, especially compared to some of my other experiences in the custom Myers world. But I approached David Tucker and said, this was at a point when I couldn't seem to get in touch with, One or get myself a One's Customs head sculpt. I always wanted a Rob Zombie Myers figure in 1/6 scale because it's just a very imposing, very detailed kind of mask, and as you can see here, it's just a very impressive looking piece. So David Tucker said he could get me the head sculpt. If I wanted to pay for the whole figure, he'd be more than happy to get it all, put it together for me, make the coveralls, do the knife, all the detail, and then just send it to me as a complete piece, which he did, and stayed in touch with me all the way through, like on a daily basis. Pictures, pictures, pictures. Do you like the way the coveralls look? Do you want this to be smaller? Do you want that to be bigger? Do you want there to be more blood here, less blood there? Very, very good guy. And a great sculpt by One. This is an updated sculpt on the other Rob Zombie Halloween 2 hospital scene mask you saw before, the one that's about a decade old. This is the more recent one. A lot of people tell me they prefer the old one, and I kind of understand why, although I do love this too. It's very difficult for me to choose because I like things about both, but I will say the older one has something about it. Very, very scary. But I did the blood work on that knife myself. Did a pretty good job on that, as you can see. Might get a little bit of a closer look at that in a moment. But great boots, amazing coveralls, decent body, and amazing head sculpt. Let's get a closer look at the head. It's just demonic, man. Let me just stop him from turning for a moment, and we can just appreciate that. He's remember, he's been walking heavily in the rain as well. Look at that bloody shiny goriness. That is incredible. And I do love the crazy hair on this guy. That's up to you really, how you style it. You can go really crazy with it if you want. Crazy, crazy, crazy. It's like when he puts on the mask when he's walking on those guys' property at night, and they warned him once and then they try beating him up. And you know, they do beat the crap out of him, and then he just comes right back at them. And when he puts on the mask, the hair is literally like standing up on end. But yeah, a really cool look. Need to get myself a Hobo Myers put together. I'm sure David Tucker's going to help me out with that when the time comes. Get some cash together and get myself a hobo. But this is the One's Customs David Tucker combination for the Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 Hospital Dream sequence or Nightmare sequence. Michael Myers, portrayed by Tyler Mane. Alright, moving on. And here we have the Boo-Face Myers, which is a concept figure by One's Customs and David Tucker at Sea Creations, with some work done as well by Brett Little. I believe he did the weathering on this guy. This was one of the first, well, I actually bought, remember the old, decade-old Rob Zombie One's Customs Myers I showed you? I actually bought this in the same week, I think. That was a busy week for me. I went from having no Michael Myers figures to my two first custom figures in the same week. So that was a very exciting time for me. But I really pushed the boat out on this one. It was on eBay. It was very expensive, one of the most expensive figures I've ever bought, but no regrets. It's a very rare piece. I don't know exactly how many head sculpts were made, but not many, I'd imagine. But this is a concept piece. It's like half of his mask has been eaten away by acid or burned. I don't think it's fire caused, because I don't really see much of a charring sort of black burn effect. It's more of a kind of zombie kind of rotting effect. But the coveralls made by David Tucker are, you know, fit to perfection. A great color, kind of got a bit of a spruce green thing happening with a gray charcoal color as well. Lots of weathering, gore, and all the rips and bloody effects all over his body. I believe that would come down to Brett Little. I can't be 100% sure who did exactly everything on this. It's been a while. But he's got movie accurate jungle boots. The knife is by Free Zero. That's the bloody knife you get with the official Free Zero Halloween Part 6 figure. However, I have added more blood spray to the knife to make it look even more gory. His hands are gory as hell, and we'll get a close-up look at some of the battle damage on him. But a very, very cool piece. Very glad to have this. Now we'll just get a look at the battle damage on him as he comes around now. We'll get a look at the nice blood work on that knife. Thank you very much. And you can see his hands just absolutely covered in claret. And here we have on his chest there, on his right hand side, there's a fair bit of gore. I don't know what happened to him. Looks like he was mauled by a tiger. Perhaps he wandered into the local zoo and got a little bit friendly with something he shouldn't have got friendly with. It looks like he was attacked by some kind of four-legged claw thing. Bit closer so we can see all the detail on that mask as it comes around. You can see skull, teeth, his human ear sort of fused to the mask, and the gore and the bone. Incredible. Great hair on this. And as I just bring the thing there, you can see the eye. It's actually got like a red pupil. Very, very demonic and scary. And on this side, you've just got your clean 78 Myers, complete with the hole in his neck. Everything's there. And the battle damage again by Brett Little, and the wonderful tailoring by David Tucker. Do love the fit and the colour of these coveralls. I have to get myself a pair of these from David, just a clean version. But yeah, I like the way the hair is as well. Messy, but under control. Let's just get one last look at this incredible sculpt as it comes around. Just soak up that detail. Let me just catch that red eye as it comes around for you. You can appreciate that. Yeah, he's even got blood on his neck as well. It all follows through as it should. Incredible piece. Very happy to own this. The Boo-Face Myers by One's Customs, David Tucker, Brett Little, and I hope that's everyone. If I've forgotten to mention someone who was involved with this particular piece, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Moving on. Alright, now here we have the big guy. This is probably my most recent 1/6 scale custom Myers figure that I put together. Again, with the help of David Tucker at Sea Creations, and a head sculpt by One's Customs. This is the reissued Michael Myers 2007 head sculpt by One, and an amazing sculpt it is too. I really like the look of Michael Myers in that first Rob Zombie film, and the second one too. It's actually the Rob Zombie movies that got me into Michael Myers in the first place. I know many of you are gasping right now and getting into the fetal position and stuff, but no, it was actually the 2007 Rob Zombie film that kind of perked my interest, and I was aware of Michael Myers. Of course I was. Born on Halloween, how am I not going to know about him? But yeah, I did enjoy that first film a fair bit and gradually grew to like the second one quite a bit as well. Scenes anyway, not all of it, but certain parts. The bits, anything with Michael Myers in part 2 is pretty decent. Anyway, Tyler Mane, 6'8" or something crazy like that, a huge guy. So I asked David Tucker if he could use a bigger body on this version of Mikey, which he did. And these coveralls are a prototype. So the real ones are actually being worked on at the moment, so I'll show you them in the future. A few little kinks that need to be ironed out with this guy, but so far, a very impressive looking piece. Just a very tall, imposing looking figure. And we'll get a nice close-up look at the head sculpt. I'll show you a close-up of the material that David Tucker's used here as well, because it is a new kind of material I think he's used this time around, something he's not really worked with before. Another amazing knife by DT. Bloodied that up myself. And when I showed him I did a fair bit of weathering on these coveralls recently just to make them look even more gory. I'll show you some of that close up in a moment. But I told David, he was like, I thought you wanted me to do the weathering. I was like, don't worry about it. I always like to do, if there's a figure that needs a bit of weathering, I'll get the customizer to do the groundwork and sort of, you know, do the fundamental kind of weathering that needs to be done. And then I like to go in with my red paints and my browns and my black washes, and I like to just get in the crevices and just make it my own as well. So a very, very cool looking piece. But again, the coveralls are just prototype coveralls. The real deal will be with me in the future, and I'll let you know how they look once I get them. But great work so far by David Tucker. Let's get a close-up look at the details. Alright, so yeah, really nice material used on this guy. Pockets are in a great position. All the kind of old insignia patches all in place. I've done some blood on the hands, around the fingers. It still looks nice and wet, so that effect turned out great. The knife by David Tucker is fantastic. I did some blood on that too. I think that's turned out pretty nice. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. And yeah, just general blood, mud. It's all embedded into this guy. Let me just come down a little bit. I'll get a look. Get a look at his boots. And the base, yeah, very gory, very, very cool, and a very intimidating version of Michael Myers. Just really let you get a look at the gory details there. The blood effect on the knife, very nasty. Obviously you want it to kind of spill over onto his sleeve a little bit. And yep, this hand here, also quite bloody. And here is a close-up of the sculpt itself. Now let me just get him looking at us. You always mess with the hair and get it looking more to your liking. Let me just hold the light and move it around. But as you can see, great texture on this. And you can see on the rotting kind of rips and the lines how it's kind of going a bit browny, yellowy color. Very, very, very good. Great hair on this too. I think apart from that old, decade-old Myers that I have from the Rob Zombie Part 2 that I showed you, he's never had a problem, Old One Customs, when it comes to the Rob Zombie hair. He always has that on point. Very, very good. Great sculpt. Very glad to finally get this. This again was the reissued version, so I guess he did his initial run. It was very popular, so he did another run. But look at that. Absolute definition of evil. It's really creepy looking. But yeah, here you go, guys. Moving on. Okay, this is a very special figure. This is a 1/4 scale. That's clocking in at about 19.5 inches tall. Custom Michael Myers 1978 original classic, The Shape. The one and only, the force of nature. He's got many names. You might just call him Michael Myers. But here he is. Head sculpts by One's Customs. There's only 10 of these head sculpts made to date, and only 6 pairs of these coveralls made by Tanila's Customs. And her husband Dave made the knife, which is also exceptionally done. The body is on, well, the body is a Cool Models HD 1/4 scale body. Quite easy to get hold of one of these on eBay for about, I don't know, anywhere between 70, 80 pounds, that kind of thing. There's not many choices when it comes to 1/4 scale bodies, so this one's a great one. Great posability, double bend elbows, great bends in the legs, all that stuff. You can do anything you want him to do. Now, the head sculpt is fantastic. The lighting that's coming from above the figure here, beaming down from above, it's giving the hair more of an orangey look, but it's definitely more brown in person. The mask is an upscaled version from what I can tell. Still haven't had this confirmed yet, but one's a busy guy. He has been checking out some of the videos recently, and he did send me an email quite recently saying that he's loving the Myers videos. So it really warms the heart to hear that, because the dude made half of what I have, or more than half of what I have when it comes to Michael Myers. So for the man himself to be checking out my stuff, it's a great honor indeed. So yeah, I haven't had it confirmed, but I do think this is a upscaled version of the DX Michael 78 1/6 scale head sculpts that he's done quite recently. You'll see that on like I Am Toys channel and some other channels out there. Quite a few people have been getting their DX Michael 78 sets in now. And the coveralls, Tanila went with a nice kind of navy blue for this, very much how he looks at night in the movie. And I've done some weathering on the hands, made them look a bit muddy around the fingernails, stuff like that. Waiting for some news on the boots situation. Apparently One's Customs himself is going to be making the boots for this guy later on down the line. So I couldn't have my Michael Myers barefoot because I just couldn't do that. So I made some boots out of super sculpty clay and did a very lazy job of it. So I'm going to have to do an updated version of that very soon. I'll fix the boots, make some boots myself. But there literally aren't any on eBay. No 1/4 scale jungle boots that I can find, at least. So people are kind of using different boots temporarily until something better comes along. Okay, a bit closer to the body and the hands and the knife, we get a little bit of a better look at that, and you can see just the absolute perfection of these coveralls. They actually look more like a charcoal grey. They look really movie accurate to me in this light. Now, in the broad daylight, if I was to just grab this figure and take it out into the daylight, you'd see they're just very much a navy blue. But on camera here, with the darkness and the the kind of lighting coming in from the sides, it's kind of like a weird, it's almost like the Unsil kind of color, but obviously with a much more blue coming in when the light's hitting it from this angle. But from this side, over here, you're getting more of a kind of charcoal grey vibe. So I really do like that about them. The pockets are done, the stitching, everything about this, just done to perfection. I can't praise Tanila and her seamstress skills enough. The knife, again, by Dave, Tanila's husband, incredibly well done. Apparently he's going to be what's the word, experimenting with more like stainless steel material for his knives in the future, so we'll see how that goes. That's exciting, because that's verging into kind of Fergo territory there with his incredible knife work. But the hand sculpts, this body, the Cool Models body, does come with quite a few different sort of posed hands. I've gone for a relaxed one over here, and then obviously one holding the knife over there. Now, yeah, you won't really be able to tell too much from here, but I have put dirt and mud using a black wash and some brown paint around his fingernails and his thumb, just where all the kind of little details are. So his hands look way more alive than they did when I first got the body. But let's take a look at the head sculpt. So we'll get a nice close-up look now at this 1/4 scale, quarter scale Michael Myers 78 sculpt by One's Customs. Amazing sculpt on this and a great paint job too. We'll try a couple of different lighting techniques on this just so you can really get the different effects from the lighting, the shadows where they fall. You can see how the light is catching his eyes inside the mask there. Very intense looking, and just a great sculpt. And the hair work on this, pretty damn good, not the best. I don't think this hair seems as good, again, like I've said before, as the hair on these 78 Michael DX figures that One has recently released. The hair on that seems to be, basically perfection. Whereas this hair is just fine, no complaints, but now that I've seen the DX Michael 78 hair, I can't help but wish that was on all my head sculpts. So I have done a little bit of a haircut on him because the strands were a little bit long, but I'm talking like a tiny fractional amount that I cut away, not much at all. Didn't want to go overboard with that. You don't want any regrets with something like this. This is kind of a one-off. He made 10 head sculpts, so there's not many of these around. I don't know if he'll do any more in the future. I know he's a busy man. He's always got future projects, more stuff coming, and I know he's probably got that 2018 Myers bug big time, so I'm sure he's busy with that. But I am extremely pleased to own this. Let me change up the lighting a little bit. Let's play with the shadows. Alright, so I've got my little torch, I'm just going to move it around and just see how it affects. There's from underneath. There's from above. Above is always the way to go. With any figure, really, I find that when the light source is coming from directly above the figure, you get an incredible lighting effect, especially on something like a Michael Myers mask. Let's just get him to come around here, and I'll stop him from turning for a moment so we can just enjoy the details here. But I am so lucky to own this. I know that, I really got in there, and I made some great friends, and that includes people like One and Tanila's Customs especially. Just so glad to be able to get my hands on something like this. It's amazing. It really is incredible. I am a seriously lucky Myers fan right here. This is one of the things I would grab if, God forbid, touch wood, this place was to catch fire. The old age-old question for the hardcore collectors: what would you grab if you could only grab a couple of things before everything went up in flames? It would be this and the Enter Bay Batman, and maybe I'd try and grab myself a few more pieces as well, but maybe my 2018 custom Myers. But this is just incredible. I'm sure you'll agree. Alright, just turn him to the side. Got a look there. And this side. This side I really like. Just something about it. Very, very, very cool. Alright guys, well there is the quarter scale custom 78 Michael Myers figure. 10 head sculpts in existence to date. 6 sets of coveralls in the world. I don't know if Tanila will ever be doing any more. I'm sure it's quite a big job for her to put one of these together, and yeah, it exists in limited quantity, so see what you can do. You never know, someone might sell theirs. There might be more in the future, but no guarantees. Look at him, the shape. Here we have the NECA 1/4 scale 78 Michael Myers official figure. However, I have completely removed the hair from the sculpt and done that from scratch using Super Sculpty clay. I also repainted the mask to an extent, just, a bit of a black wash, very subtle. And also painted around the eyes to make the eye holes appear sort of, just the blackest eyes. I didn't want to see the human skin tone in the eye holes of the mask. I just want blackness, but I didn't actually paint his eyeballs, so they're still there. And I also used Super Sculpty clay to kind of hide the shoulder joints, not so much from the back, because I wanted to keep that kind of distinctive thing that happens with the coveralls. But from the front, the shoulder joints now are a lot more subtle and more hidden. Just basically a statue. You can turn the head, you can turn his wrists a little bit, but basically he's a statue. An incredibly accurate mask sculpt here by NECA, and this is an old figure. I've got the 7-inch version of this, which I also redid the hair on that one too. I actually prefer the way the hair came out on the smaller one. Nick asked me when I did this, how come you didn't do rooted hair like you did with the big Rob Zombie NECA figure? And the answer to that was the coveralls on this guy being such an old figure, it's very much a big lump of plastic. And he's a very plasticky looking figure. Not cheap looking, but it's all plastic. So I didn't want to have all of that plastic action and then suddenly have rooted hair at the top. It would just seem a bit too, you've got a really realistic head and then the body is just obviously toyish. So I wanted to use Super Sculpty clay and do like a hard sculpt for the hair, just keeping it in line with the rest of the figure. And I'm sure most of you will agree, as he comes around there, he looks pretty damn sweet. Let's get close up to the head sculpt and you can get a better look at that. Okay, so let's get a close-up, and as you can see, it does look like I did the hair myself. It's my first, well, not my first rodeo when it comes to doing hair on one of these guys, but from the front, that was where my main focus was, because I knew that was going to be the main kind of angle that you see. But you just got some little horns, some little licks of hair coming out there. Let me stop him turning for a moment, and we can play around with the light. But a great sculpt by NECA on this one. Absolutely fantastic, but it is very old, and I'm very much looking forward to getting the official 2018 NECA Michael Myers in 7-inch form. It's an ultimate figure, so he comes with a lot of accessories and great posability. Very much hoping NECA do a 1/4 scale version of him as well. And I think that's very likely because they do actually do that with a lot of their figures. The Freddy Part 2, Part 3, the Ultimate figures were, at some point 1/4 scale figures as well. They've done it with Jason, at least one version of him not too long ago. So, both versions of Michael Myers that NECA did, this version in 7-inch form and the Rob Zombie version, also became 1/4 scale figures quite soon after as well. So, yeah, I'm hoping that NECA will bring us plenty of 2018 Meyer action. Maybe even eventually revisit this guy from the original 78 film. But anyway, there you go. That's the old 1/4 scale NECA figure with re-sculpted hair and a slightly repainted mask. And it's a very old piece. I got this secondhand on eBay, pretty decent condition, and the price, well, it was a while ago now, can't really remember. Either way, nice to have it. I don't have the McFarlane 7-inch one or the 1/4 scale one by McFarlane. I was tempted to do a bit of resculpting on the hair on that one once I get it, but I don't know if I will pick it up. We'll see. We'll see. Well, not so pretty from the back view because of the screw holes in the speaker. This guy still sounds off every now and then when I pass by him, although it sounds like he's underwater, but he's just an old piece. This is the NECA 1/4 scale official 2007 Rob Zombie's Tyler Mane Halloween thing. Big title. This is basically the large version of the 7-inch figure that NECA released of the 2007 Rob Zombie Halloween film. Now, I have repainted the mask and totally taken away the sculpted hair and redone the hair using a Halloween werewolf full head mask. Just a basic brown haired werewolf mask, full head one, and just used the hair from that on him. Took a long time, trial and error. It's a real pain in the butt to do, but very, very worth it because this is a fantastic looking piece. Unlike the 78 1/4 scale NECA figure of Michael Myers, this one, even though it's all hard plastic, the sculpt is really good on the coveralls. Now, once we see it from the side profile here, as he comes around from the front, he looks just amazing. I almost wish that, sound speaker option wasn't available in the back, so it was just nice and seamless. But just a very, very cool looking piece. And again, like I've said, I really do like the look of Michael Myers in that 2007 film. Tyler Mane was very intimidating as the Shape, although he's never referred to as the Shape in the Rob Zombie ones. That's more of a John Carpenter thing, absolutely. So let's get a bit closer up and check out the details on this guy. So let's just let him come round and you can see the hair work on him. Not the right kind of hair, really. I had to use the only thing I could really find. I just thought, I know you're supposed to use, what is it, yak's hair or something, the official stuff that people use when they're doing custom work like this. I dabble. I do some modifications, customizations. I've even done a few things, almost from scratch, like tried to do head sculpts and stuff, but it's tricky. You really got to invest all the time into it, and I'm too busy, working full time and living life and making reviews and all that stuff. I couldn't be a customizer as well as doing all this stuff. But I dabble. Anyway, here it comes. That's how it looks from the front. I didn't do too bad on the hair on this. I've got it looking a bit messy. Usually it's a bit more neat. But the repaint on the mask, let me just stop him from turning for a sec. And let's get him looking up. But yeah, NECA did an incredible job on the sculpt of the mask itself. Let me just get this light for you. Just have a look at that. But yes, rotted away from all those years, hidden under the floorboards with the knife. But yeah, there's a fair bit of yellowy brown. Originally it was just kind of like a blue color. You can still see a hint of that around the eyes when I shine the light right at it. But you kind of come at it from behind with the light. That kind of movie kind of trick they do where they backlight things to make things just look more epic. That's what I'm doing now. So you kind of get in that light silhouette around him. Very cool. But yeah, a really, really good figure. But I just wasn't keen on how it looked. The sculpted hair on the smaller version, which I actually happen to have right here. This is the scaled down version, and that's what the hair looked like on this guy before I did anything to it. And it looks okay on this scale, it doesn't bother me. But on the big scale one here, that sculpted hair just didn't work for me at all. It just looked like a lump of brown stuff on his head. Won't go into too much detail, but yeah, very happy with how this turned out. Alright, so what I want to do now is just show you some other little random bits and pieces that I have that are Michael Myers related, like this keyring head sculpt, which is almost 1/6 scale. It's ever so slightly underscaled. In fact, I heard a story. Someone bought what they thought was a Michael Myers head sculpt by One's Customs in 1/6 scale on eBay. Turned out what he actually received was one of these keyring heads. I actually cut away the little chain here that you can put on your keyrings because I wanted to try and maybe use this one day as a 1/6 scale head, which I think still could be achieved if you use a slightly smaller body and maybe get someone to make you some coveralls that are ever so slightly smaller than the regular 1/6 scale custom ones. Obviously, you need to Dremel hole that and make yourself a proper setup for the head to go in. But I really do like this, even though it's just a keyring. But anyway, the story goes, from what I've heard from the man himself, was he got the head sculpt thinking it was going to be a 1/6 scale head, and it was one of these keyrings instead. So very cheeky maneuver by the guy who was selling it. But he asked one just to be sure about the situation, and one sent him a replacement head off his own back of an actual real 1/6 scale head to, just for the guy's trouble, which was really, really sweet to do. But anyway, here is the keyring, which obviously one has done all kinds of different head sculpts keyring wise. He's done all the different Michael Myers heads, maybe done some Freddy's, some Jason's. I'm not 100% sure. I think he did some Chucky's as well, but I really love this. One day I might try and turn this into a figure. What else have I got? I've also got some knives. Just might as well show you some of this stuff. That's a David Tucker knife that I did the blood effect on that myself. Let me just get this light here so you can see. Very proud of my dripping blood on this. Although David Tucker could do some really good dripping blood effects apparently as well. So I'm looking forward to see what you can do with that. But yeah, very happy with that knife. That's a spare knife that I have. This is a One's Customs knife, I think, or possibly a David Tucker knife. But I got this with my original old Michael Myers figure, the one that's like a decade old, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 Nightmare Sequence 1 Customs. This came with that, so you can see the blood effect on there, really gory. I do believe this is a hunting knife from Halloween 2. I forget the actual name now, but that is some One's Customs action right there. Also another One's Customs knife from Halloween, Rob Zombie's version. Very gory, this one. You can see the blood on that. Look at that. That is just nasty. This is a big kitchen knife. That came with one of my custom Rob Zombie One's Customs figures as well. It's been a while, and I do have quite a few now, so it's kind of getting hard to keep track of exactly which came with what. Then we just got some certificates of authenticity. This is the one for the 1/4 scale One's Customs head. So you can see there, always nice to have one of these. I didn't get one with my Mad Bug Silent Surfer head, which I thought was unusual. But here is the Legio 7 2018 custom Michael Myers head sculpt certificate of authenticity. Signature and numbered 2 of 2. So like I said, at the moment only 2 of them in existence. Maybe more by now, because I'm sure people have been asking about them. Here is the certificate of authenticity for the Unsold coveralls. And might get that laminated soon. Need to get on the case with that. Here is the little certificate. Well, actually, I think this was the keyring that was attached to that head sculpt I showed you just a minute ago. The keyring head sculpt from One's Customs. So that's really nice. And a little signature from one there. 2015. That's when that figure was from. Okay. Then we have certificate of authenticity for the Rob Zombie H1 Michael sculpt, the reissued version, which I showed you. And that is the certificate for that. Anything on the back? Not on that one. And here we have my C Creations certificate of authenticity for the prototype H1 Rob Zombie Myers coveralls that I showed you. So that is C Creations logo there. Very cool. It's like a figure is strapping up a human or something to customize the human. Tables have turned or something. I don't know. It's pretty cool though. And then we have some Tanila's Customs certificates. This is the one for the 1/4 scale coveralls that she made for the big old custom Myers figure. Really, really nicely done, laminated, and she always gives you a sample of the materials used as well. Here is another certificate for my green coveralls from Tanila, and they're very, very rare. She only made 3 of them, and I can't tell you who the other person who owns these is, but you wouldn't believe me if I told you. It's amazing. So only me, Tanila, and one other person apparently has them. Here you have the certificate of authenticity for the coveralls that Tanila made using the material that I sent her, the Dean Knight exclusives, and there are 3 in the world. I have 2 of them, and a guy out there in the world called Paul has one of them, And that just leaves one spare set that I have, which I literally have here. And I've had people asking about these coveralls. These are the D-Night exclusives. This is the one spare set in the world holding right now. I've been weathering them. I've done a fair bit of weathering on these. As you can see, the color is 100% legit. This is Big Mac coverall material, basically. It's not like I didn't actually send a Big Macs to cut up and make into 1/6 scale, but I found the material amazing. So pretty soon I will let you guys know what I intend to do with this spare pair. I haven't decided exactly what to do yet. I want them to go to the right person, and I haven't, figured out how I'm going to go about it yet. But keep an eye on the channel, because these D-Night exclusive 78 Myers coveralls in 1/6 scale will be going to someone at some point. And here are my Tanila's Customs green ones. Very nice material. I love the way these look. But that is about all the Michael Myers goodies I can find right now. So that's about it. Also have this tombstone. I should show you that. This was hooked up thanks to Michael Cortez. And this should probably be facing at the front, but there's reasons why I have it at the back. It's just when you put it at the front, the gravestone kind of slants forward. So when you have it around this way, it kind of leans backwards like it's, fully on display. But a very nice tombstone. Very nice. Bit thinner than I guess it would be, but makes a hell of a display piece. Oh, and of course, here is my 78 accurate pumpkin. I got this thanks to Michael Cortez again. It's quite expensive, but definitely worth it, because it's, you can't have, the perfect 78 Myers and not have the pumpkin. I don't know, it might be Beta Metalli, something like that. And let's not forget, of course, the incredible diorama gift from Nick, my bestest buddy, and the awesome dude who made it, Mr. Stephen Maurice. Look at that. That was only the second pumpkin he ever made. Killed it. And of course, the awesome diorama made by Glenn Page at Cult Creations for my NECA or Mezco Toys Michael Myers figure. Absolutely made photography. Just so much fun to do. And the review itself for the Mezco figure was an absolute delight, thanks to this diorama by Glenn. Thought I might as well throw in the masks, the life-size masks. I mean, Michael Myers Fest, might as well check it in. This is my NAG 78 Nightmare mask. Pretty much as accurate as you're ever going to get. Like going back in the DeLorean to the film set in 78 and stealing the mask, coming back into the future and be like, hey, here it is. It's amazing. What can I say? It's not cheap, and it's not going to last forever. It's latex, eventually it's going to rot away, just like the one from the 2018 movie, although I doubt it will look exactly like that by the time it does start to deteriorate. But the hair on this, perfection. The sculpt, the paintwork, absolutely incredible. Absolutely just had to be done. Very expensive. One of the most expensive collectibles I got in the room. And kind of sad, like I say, to know that it's not going to last forever. That's the nature of these masks. But this is the 78 mask, the Nightmare 78 mask by NAG. That's Nicholas Art Galleries. Amazing. And there is the NAG Nightmare 78 mask on the life-size mannequin with the Big Mac coveralls, the knife, the boots, the whole deal. Absolutely awesome looking life-size figure right there. And here is my 2018 Trick or Treat Studios Halloween mask, and sold out everywhere apparently, very hard to get. I did repaint mine myself, first time ever trying to do something like this. I'm really happy with the results, although I did order another one because I discovered someone who, I don't want to divulge who that is right now, but I found someone who, as far as I'm concerned, does the best repaints on this mask. So it's November now, got an email from Trick or Treat Studios saying the new mask will be with me soon, and it's going off to this guy and he's going to repaint it for me, and I'll tell you everything. But here's my repaint job on the Trick or Treat Studios mask. Let me just stop him from turning for a sec. And yeah, I fixed the hairline just by I used a lot of hairspray in the mask just to kind of cool it down a little bit. Let me just mess with it a little bit here. Get the shadows and that. But yeah, it still has all the wrinkles, all the details, all the damage. Very creepy looking mask. But yeah, that was my first attempt at doing a repaint on the Trick or Treat Studios mask. Not too bad. Very happy with how the hair is on this mask. Just put hairspray all over it and you kind of get it to look more like it does in the movie. But that's it, guys. That is the end of the big Michael Myers collection description video. Hope I've covered everything. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do light up the comments section and let me know how you feel about what I've shown you. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. And thank you to everybody. Without naming everyone right now, because I'm bound to forget one person, then I feel guilty about it. So you know who you are. If you've helped me on this big Michael Myers journey, then God bless you. Thank you so much. More coming at you real soon. Hit a like on the video, share it if you can, and follow me on Instagram at DeanKnight333 because a lot of stuff goes up on there. Thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.